Did you hear about the man who lost his whole left side? Well, he's all right now. Cue the drum roll, please. Welcome to our little corner of the internet, where we believe that the best way to tackle life's ups and downs is with a hearty guffaw and a dash of motivation. Now, speaking of motivation, did you hear about the mathematician who's afraid of negative numbers? He will stop at nothing to avoid them. And let's not forget the eager jumper cable who walked into a bar. The bartender said, "I'll serve you, but don't start anything. Life, my friends, is full of peculiarities. It's a bit like a broken pencil, isn't it? Pointless. But only if you forget to laugh." As Charlie Chaplin once said, "A day without laughter is a day wasted." Now that we've shared a few laughs, let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this video. Scene script. Ever heard of the guy who turned his failures into stepping stones? He was quite a stumble upon success. Let's talk about this bloke. We'll call him Fred. Fred was the kind of guy who could trip over an ant. No kidding. He'd trip on a crack in the pavement, the edge of a carpet, even his own shoelaces. His friends used to joke that if there was a way to trip on thin air, Fred would find it. But here's the twist. Instead of getting embarrassed or frustrated, Fred decided to make use of it. He started a blog, documenting his daily stumbles and tumbles with a dash of humor. He called it Fred's Follies, and it was an instant hit. People loved his self-deprecating humor, and the way he turned his mishaps into funny stories. And wouldn't you know it, Fred's Follies turned him into a social media sensation. Then we have this woman. Let's name her Daisy. Daisy was the clumsiest person you'd ever meet. She'd spill her coffee, drop her phone, even forget her own birthday. Her friends lovingly called her Disaster Daisy. But instead of getting upset, Daisy turned her clumsiness into comedy gold. She started doing stand-up comedy, sharing hilarious stories of her daily bumbles and blunders. Her act was so relatable and funny that she quickly gained a following. Before she knew it, she was touring the country, making people laugh with her tales of everyday clumsiness. Daisy went from being Disaster Daisy to Daisy the Delight, a beloved comedian. Funny, isn't it? Both Fred and Daisy turned what could have been their downfalls into their triumphs. They turned their failures into stepping stones, their stumbling blocks into launching pads. They didn't let their shortcomings define them. Instead, they used them as a source of strength, a wellspring of inspiration. So the next time you trip over your own feet or spill your tea, remember Fred and Daisy. Remember that it's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up. And remember, every time you fall, it's just an opportunity to get back up and try again, preferably with less tripping this time. Here's a thought. If laughter is the best medicine, then optimists must be the healthiest people around. Consider this. When life hands you lemons, why not juggle them? That's exactly what our friend Henry did. When faced with a particularly sour situation, Henry chose not to let it dampen his spirits. Instead, he used humor as his shield and sword, turning his lemons into lemonade, and then into a hilarious stand-up routine. You see, it's all about perspective. A positive outlook can change the game entirely. It can transform a dismal rainstorm into a chance to splash in puddles. It can turn a mountain of chores into a game of the floor is lava. Laughter, my friends, is the silver lining that can make any grey cloud shine. It's the spark that can ignite a wildfire of positivity. So remember to laugh often, think positively, and keep your chin up. After all, the sky isn't going to admire itself. As we draw to a close, remember the man who lost his left side. He's still all right. And let's not forget the chicken that crossed the road to get to the other side. He knew what he wanted and went for it, despite the traffic. That's motivation with feathers. Remember the tale of the tortoise and the hare too. A classic. Slow and steady won the race, even when the hare had the speed. It's not about how fast you can go, it's about never giving up, even when you feel like you're lagging behind. And then, there's the power of positive thinking. Remember the guy who thought he could, so he did. That's the power of I can. If you think you can, you're halfway there. And let's not forget the best joke of all. Life. It's a funny old thing. It's got its ups and downs, but it's all about how you view it. And that's all, folks. Remember, life is better when you're laughing, even if you're just laughing at yourself. Now go out there and be the best you that you can be.